All right, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to call the January 15th, 2024 Crest Hill City Council meeting to order at 7 o'clock p.m. I would ask that everyone would please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, please, Chris.
Ray Solomon.
Here.
Glenn Conklin.
Present.
Scott Dyke.
Here.
John Rashay.
Here.
Darrell Jefferson. Claudia Gazal.
Here.
Tina Oberlin.
Present.
Mark Sepiti.
Here.
Nate Albert.
Here.
And Joe Kubal.
Sure. Okay, for the record, I did receive a message this afternoon from Alderman Jefferson. He's a little bit under the weather, so he is excused for this evening's meeting. We'll move on with the approval of the minutes. The first one is the approval of the minutes from the city council meeting held on January 2nd, 2024. Motion would be in order.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion by Alderwoman Gazal, seconded by Alderman Dyke for the approval of the minutes of the city council meeting held on January 2nd, 2024. Questions or comments? Roll call, please.
John Rashay.
Yes.
Claudia Gazal.
Yes.
Tina Oberlin.
Yes.
Mark Sepiti.
Yes.
Nate Albert.
Yes.
Joe Kubal.
Yes.
Scott Dyke.
Yes.
Motion carries. Thank you.
You also have before you the minutes of the work session, which was held on January 4th, 2024. Motion would be in order.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Alderman Boucher, seconded by Alderwoman Gazal, for the approval of the minutes of the work session held on January 4th, 2024. Questions or comments? Roll call, please.
Scott Dyke.
Yes.
John Rashay.
Yes.
Claudia Gazal.
Yes.
Tina Oberlin.
Yes.
Mark Sepiti.
Yes.
Nate Albert.
Yes.
Joe Kubal.
Yes.
Motion carries. Thank you.
And finally, you have before you the minutes of the work session held on January 8th, 2024. Motion would be in order.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion by Alderwoman Gazal, seconded by Alderman Albert for the approval of the minutes of the January 8th, 2024 work session. Questions or comments? Roll call, please.
Tina Oberlin.
Yes.
Mark Sepiti.
Yes.
Nate Albert.
Yes.
Joe Kubal.
Yes.
Scott Dyke.
Yes.
John Rashay.
Yes.
Claudia Gazal.
Yes.
Motion carries. Thank you.
Okay, moving on to our agenda items. We'll begin with our city attorney this evening, Mr. Mike Stiff. Good evening, Mike.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I have one agenda item for your consideration tonight. It's the approval of an ordinance adding a Chapter 9.40 Rules and Regulations of the City of Crest Hill regarding unscheduled intercity buses. This ordinance was discussed at great length at last week's work session. It has been drafted in accordance with the council's direction, and it is in your packet for approval tonight.
So moved as presented. Second.
We have a motion by Alderperson Oberlin, seconded by Alderwoman Gazal, for the approval of an ordinance of the City of Crest Hill, Will County, Illinois, amending Title IX, Public Peace, Morals, and Welfare, Article 4, offenses against public place of its Code of Ordinances to establish a Chapter 9.40 Rules and Regulations of the City of Crest Hill regarding unscheduled intercity buses. Questions or comments? Roll call, please, Chris.
Mark Sepiti.
Yes.
Nate Albert.
Yes.
Joe Kubal.
Yes.
Scott Dyke.
Yes.
John Rashay.
Yes.
Claudia Gazal.
Yes.
Tina Oberlin.
Yes.
Motion carries. Ordinance 1971.
That is the only agenda item that I have. I'm happy to answer any other questions if I can.
Any questions of our city attorney? Okay, thanks, Mike. Moving on to our Public Works Department, our Director of Public Works, Mr. Blaine Klein. Good evening, Blaine.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Three items for you tonight. First item, seeking approval of pay request number 16 from Williams Brothers Construction, Inc. with direction to send it to the IEPA for approval and disbursement for a total amount of $110,162.89.
So moved as presented.
Second.
We have a motion by Alderperson Oberlin, seconded by Alderman Albert, for the approval of pay request number 16 from Williams Brothers Constructions with direction to send it to the IEPA for approval and disbursement for the total amount of $110,162.89. Questions or comments in regards to the motion? Roll call, please.
Claudia Gazal.
Yes.
Tina Oberlin.
Yes.
Mark Sepiti.
Yes.
Nate Albert.
Yes.
Joe Kubal.
Yes.
Scott Dyke.
Yes.
John Rashay.
Yes.
Motion carries. Thank you.
Second item, approval of pay request number 17 from Williams Brothers Construction, Inc. with directions to send it to IDPA for approval and disbursement for a total amount of $39,901.33.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion by Alderman Dyke, seconded by Alderman Verche, for the approval of pay request number 17 from William Brother Construction Incorporated, with directions to send it to the IEPA for approval and disbursement for the total amount of $39,901.33. Questions or comments in regards to the motion? Roll call, please.
Nate Albert,
Yes.
Joe Kubal,
Yes.
Scott Dyke.
Yes.
John Burchett.
Yes.
Claudia Gazal,
Yes.
Tina Oberlin,
Yes.
Mark Sepiti.
Yes.
Did I say Nate Albert?
You did.
Thank you, motion carries. My computer just crashed.
And the third item, approval of pay request number 12 from Viscera Construction, Inc. with direction to send it to IEPA for approval and disbursement for a total amount of $1,902,617.69.
So moved as presented. Second.
Motion by Alderperson Overland, seconded by Alderwoman Gazal, for the approval of pay request number 12 from Viscera Construction Corporation with direction to send it to the IEPA for approval and disbursement for a total amount of $1,902,617.69. Questions or comments? Roll call, please.
Joe Kubal,
Yes.
Scott Dyke,
Yes.
John Burchett.
Yes.
Claudia Gazal,
Yes.
Tina Oberlin,
Yes.
Mark Sepiti,
Yes.
and Nate Albert.
Yes.
Motion carries, thank you.
That's all I have tonight, unless anyone has any questions.
I don't have any questions, Blaine, but I certainly want to compliment Public Works Department, our Police Department, all of our city staff. That was a pretty horrific storm that we had over the last week. Luckily, we got a lot more rain, I think, than was predicted. We made it over that I-80 line, and we got a lot more rain, which helped out an awful lot. But the extreme cold temperatures were certainly a challenge, I'm sure, for everybody that had to work outside. And the drifting of the high winds that we had was probably even more dangerous. And I hope that people understand that salt is not effective at these cold temperatures. So hopefully we have one more day of the cold temperatures, and then we can just put down some salt, correct Blaine, and clear the streets a little bit better. They're pretty much ice packed right now.
Yeah, any spots, we'll be out tomorrow and the rest of the week. There's still some spots that obviously salt hasn't had an impact because the temperatures got cold too quickly. So we'll continue to, hit spots that may need attention, but we focused on the outroads to kind of get through the first part of that storm and circle back to the neighborhoods, and most of the spots are pretty decent. There's still a few that we'll monitor the rest of the week.
Yeah, they did a great job though, and the police department also for out in the cold, and everybody else, thanks for your cooperation. Any other questions or comments of Public Works from council?
Just echoing what he said, thank you for all what you guys did. Please, pass.
Okay, we'll be moving on to our city engineer, Ron Wiedemann. Good evening, Ron.
Thank you, Mayor. I just have one item tonight, that is to approve Mead Incorporated's proposal to modify the existing traffic signals at the intersection of Division Street and Chernovic Lane to add a traffic signal for the driveway along the north leg for a cost of $22,557.21.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion by Alderman Albert, seconded by Alderperson Oberlin, to approve Mead Incorporated proposal to modify the existing traffic signals at the intersection of Division Street and Chernovic Lane to add a traffic signal for the driveway along the north leg of that intersection for a cost of $22,557.21. This was discussed at length at the work session last week also. Does anybody have any questions or comments?
I have a comment. As I said, last work session regarding the traffic lights, I'm all for safety. I just want to keep that for the record. But we here as a council, we always talk about health, safety, and welfare. We continue on spending money to improve a light on a private driveway on Division Street. The city has removed this light to Chernovic at the city expense. And that was before your time, Ron, so I hope you don't take anything personal in here. I just gotta make my comment here about how I feel about this. The city has moved it as it did to Chernovic for one resident. And now we are going to spend an additional $22,000, almost $23,000 to fix a problem that was created by not doing the proper work when we first installed it. I have been advocating and asking for years from the county and this council to move the light from Ryan Drive to McGilvery to avoid more fatalities and accidents. And our chief, right before the meeting, I asked him for a report. For the last 3 years, we have 9 accidents, 2 fatalities and 9 accidents. So that is a lot for 3 years. I'm asking the same consideration for the safety of hundreds, not one, hundreds of citizens that they're using this intersection on a daily basis. It's understood and proposed development has not and will not occur in that area of Ryan. So whatever was proposed in the past, that's not gonna happen. It's the big box is gone, it's been divided, and we have seen for the last, since 2007, nothing has happened in that area. That being stated, I respectfully ask the council to consider moving the light from Ryan to McGilvery. So in the past, we have budgeted some money, and that falls through the cracks once again. And I think it's only fair if we can do it for one resident, that we do it for 100 residents that they use that street. And what are we waiting for? To have more accidents? It can be one of us. It can be one of our kids that they're gonna be on this corner, and then what? You know, so I hope we start taking this seriously and we start doing something about it. I just want that for the record. Thank you, Mayor.
Any other questions or comments in regards to the motion? Roll call, please, Chris.
Scott Dyke,
Yes.
John Rashay.
Yeah.
Claudia Gazal,
Abstain.
Tina Oberlin,
Yes.
Mark Sepiti,
Yes.
Nate Albert,
Yes.
and Joe Kubal.
Yes.
Motion carries, thank you.
That's all I have.
Okay, any questions of city engineer? All right, thanks, Ron. Moving on to community development, our community development director, Mr. Ron Metzner. Good evening, Ron.
Good evening, Mayor, City Council. I have no items on the agenda tonight, but I'm available to address any questions that the council may have about community development-related items that aren't on the agenda.
Any questions of community development? All right, thanks, Ron. Moving on to our police department, our police chief, Ed Clark. Good evening, Ed.
Evening, Mayor and Council. I have one item this evening on the agenda that was discussed at last week's work session. The ordinance for registering for alarms, burglar alarms in the city. The city council reviewed it and decided to change the ordinance from the $100 for residents to a 0 registration fee. Residents still have to register every year, and they also still, all the other requirements apply as far as false alarms. You get one free one for a calendar year. The first one after that's $50, and that's $100 for that subsequently. So this was brought to our attention by Alderwoman Gazal. I know we discussed it last year, and it kind of went by the wayside, but we've corrected this ordinance, and I just have it forward for approval.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion by Alderwoman Gazal, seconded by Alderman Albert for approval of an ordinance amending sections 5.48.020, 5.48.30, and 5.48.060 of Title V Business Licenses and Regulations, Chapter 5.48, Automatic and Manual Burglar and Fire Alarms of the City of Crest Hill City Code of Ordinances. Questions or comments?
Just a comment, I want to thank our attorney and our chief and all the council for helping us with this and for moving this forward. Thank you.
Roll call, please, Chris.
John Rashay,
Yes.
Claudia Gazal,
Yes.
Tina Oberlin,
Yes.
Mark Sepiti,
Yes.
Nate Albert,
Yes.
Joe Kubal,
Yes.
Scott Dyke.
Yes.
Motion carries, ordinance 1972.
That's all I have this evening. Just want to update City Council. The first 2 snow events we had over the last 2 weeks, we wrote 60 citations for snowfall, parking violations. I'm still getting a running total from the last one. They did write a substantial amount, but I will say, as we drove through, that I was really happy to see a lot of the citizens complying and getting their cars off the roadway. So I thank the city and the citizens for that. I also want to thank Public Works. They did a fantastic job again. And the troops patrol for being out there in that cold weather. We had quite a few accidents. We had one officer that was sustained minor injuries in an accident, he's doing very well, and he's home, and he should be back to work pretty soon here. So we're very thankful for that, but it was pretty treacherous out there over the weekend. That's all I have.
Yeah, and again, to the police department, thanks for the credit to their job that they did too during the storm. Not normal conditions that it was dealt with, and the cold weather certainly did help again. So thanks to everyone on the police department too. Any other questions or comments, City Council?
I have a question. Chief, I see here in Luceville, D&I burglar alarm, we're paying $197.
How much
$197.97 for burglar alarm?
for a burglar alarm?
Yeah, it's on page 2, number 400, D&I.
400's the vendor number on there.
197.
I had asked Don if he knew what it was.
I'll get that, but I know we do have our evidence vault alarm through D&I as well, so I'll get that exact bill for
Okay,
you.
so we're not paying for alarm when we have you guys.
We're paying for alarm for the building, but also one of the main features is our evidence vault, which is alarm.
Okay, thank you for clarifying that.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Ed.
Thank you.
Moving on to the mayor's report, I do not have any agenda items this evening. If there are any questions, I'll try to answer them.
Ray, I don't have a question, just a comment. I just want to voice my displeasure with the fact that thousands of Crest Hill residents didn't get garbage pickup this week, particularly on Friday. I understand there was bad weather. I don't understand why the garbage company didn't get it cleaned up on Saturday. And I hope it's not a trend that continues. As far as recycle goes, folks are gonna have to wait 3 weeks to get their recycle picked up. So I just don't remember that before. And I appreciate it was a bad storm. I myself personally drove throughout the city of Chicago on Saturday. I saw a lot of trucks on the road Saturday. I know it was cold out. You get the truck started up in the morning and it runs. So again, I just hope it's not a trend. And you know, this is something that's like once a year.
We didn't have pickup in our community today as well. Today is our garbage day. When I called the garbage company, they're shorthanded. Some of the trucks were not working, so they're behind. That's what I was told.
Yeah, and it was a tough call for Republic, I'll be honest with you, Joe. You know, I think the forecast was much more severe than what we ended up with, but I don't think anybody knew that at the time. And Saturday was actually supposed to be a worse day than Friday, if you watched all the weather reports. And I think they were worried about the safety of the drivers coming in at 4 o'clock in the morning and everything else. They made a decision, and they notified us. It was 7:30, 8 o'clock in the morning. We got it out to Caroline Lake subdivision as soon as we could. You know, I understand that it's inconvenience for the people. I understand that. You know, but they will be there this Friday to pick up the garbage, and then next Friday, the 26th, I believe it is, to pick up the garbage and the recycling. They did say that any extra garbage or recycling that you have, put it beside the can, and they will pick it up on those days going forward. And, you know, I just hope that we get a little cooperation from the people, maybe be a little bit more creative how they can get more things into the cans. I know some of them have the very small cans, most of them have the medium-sized cans. I know it's an inconvenience, but it's one of those things I think that just, you know, it was out of our control, and I think that everybody was trying to be worried about the safety and welfare of the drivers and the residents and the people plowing the snow, give them an opportunity to do their job also. So.
Like I said, I appreciate the weather conditions. I just hope it's not a trend. 'Cause there were a lot of people, you know, we're still in the holiday period here, you know. I know personally all my neighbors' garbage cans were full when they dragged them out in the snow on Friday morning. And then they had to drag them back in through the snow. It was still full, and it was a big inconvenience, not a little one, it was a big inconvenience. And people are dealing with that all week. I'm personally bringing garbage to other people's homes this week, you know, friends and such. So like I said, I hope it's, it's a one and done.
The good news, Joe, that it's cold and it's not gonna smell.
It's been a long time since I remember, that it's been a 2-day event. It's always been a 1-day event, they picked it up the next day. And I think, if they knew the weather forecast was different, I think it would have been different, but.
Well, that being said, Mayor, I think the issues come in is the fact that they canceled it. They don't usually cancel it, they usually delay it. And the communication that went out made it sound like they're going to pick up the garbage on Monday. So the whole thing was just kind of badly communicated. Then the winds whipped up and people were waiting for their garbage to be picked up the next day or on Sunday or whatever it may be. It's garbage flying all over the place. So just hope with a little cooperation with the Republic in situations like this in the future.
Okay. Moving on to our city clerk's report, our city clerk, Christine Verche Hall. Good evening, Chris.
Good evening, and I have nothing to report.
Any questions of city clerk? All right, thanks, Chris. City treasurer's report, our treasurer, Glenn Conklin. Good evening, Glenn.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I'd like to seek your approval on a list of bills issued through January 16th, 2024, in the amount of $3,651,707.94.
So moved as presented.
Can I get a second?
Second.
We have a motion by Alderperson Hoagland, seconded by Alderman Kubal for the approval of the list of bills. Questions or comments? Roll call.
Claudia Gazal,
Yes.
Tina Oberlin,
Yes.
Mark Sepiti,
Yes.
Nate Albert,
Yes.
Joe Kubal,
Yes.
Scott Dyke,
Yes.
John Rashay.
Yes.
Motion carries, thank you.
Thank you all for that. Just a couple of things. If we find out that Republic has canceled days as opposed to made delays, we'll make sure that we get discounted on that. We're not going to pay a bill for a pickup that wasn't done. Regarding that, D&I, I appreciate you bringing that to our attention. You just authorized its payment. If we find out that that was anything in error, we'll remove that from the bills. So I appreciate approving it so we can pull that.
Glenn, to that point, would some residents possibly receive a discount because they didn't get a pickup one week or not? How would that work?
Well, we need to find out where we're at with Republic first.
That's fine. Great, thank you.
And then how we might adjust that by address,
Right.
if that's the case.
I mean, quite honestly, they had a day, none of their trucks went out to our area. That is a substantial savings for them. Yeah. Thank you, though, for bringing that up.
We'll make it a savings for us if that's the case. If not, we'll try to hustle them into getting that garbage picked up because we go through a pretty cumbersome task to make that credit for that week.
Well, can I just add one thing to that, since we're having this conversation? And I understand what an inconvenience it is, and I realize that. But let's also keep in mind when we had storms during the warm weather and we had debris all over the city, I do believe, did they not come out and pick it up for no charge?
Yeah.
So sometimes there's a yin and a yang in things, and you have to balance it. So let's keep that in mind. If we were to have another summer storm and request them to do that again, we have to look at the big picture.
Yes. And as a reminder to that note, we do have a minor surplus that we allocate to that trash pickup annually for that type of storm event or cleanup event that would be special that we'd be able to pay for if that were to occur. Other than that, I just want to report, it doesn't require any council action, the regular and overtime payroll from December 18th, 2023 through December 31st of 2023, total $267,102.36. That's all I have for my report, unless anyone has any questions.
Any questions of city treasurer?
Thank you, and good night.
Thanks, Glenn. Moving on, unfinished business. We have nothing on the agenda. Anyone? New business? Anyone?
Actually, I would like to do something on new business. I forgot to do it under mayor's report. I have a question for a restaurant here. El Primo. They called me with the concern about their hours, Mayor. Can you explain how you handle if a business closes at 10 p.m. and you have a customer coming in at 9:45 requesting a meal which they cook it, which we know some of the Mexican food, like steaks and stuff, it takes time. The question that the business have is, how much time they have before they can eat and leave? Because according to what you stated to them, that at 10 o'clock, they cannot serve after that, so.
No, I said they should make, and we had these discussions when they got their liquor license also. I told them to make their closing time for people coming in to order, I thought it was 9:30, 9:45. That way there, everybody would be out of the restaurant by 11 o'clock at night.
But that doesn't make sense. So from Monday to Thursday, they open from 8 AM to 10 PM. So what is the point if they open till 10 and they're gonna close their doors at 9:30 and 9:45? That doesn't
Well,
make sense.
If somebody comes in at 9:30 at night, they can certainly order and eat, whether it's a carry-out or they could eat in. The point is, everybody's supposed to be out of there an hour after closing anyway for all the employees also, so they would be out of there before that. And if somebody walked in at 9:30, they can certainly sit down, they can order, they can eat, and I would think they should be out of there by 10:30.
Okay, so you just changed your statement. So you said first 10 o'clock, so they can stay till 10:30, eat?
Yeah, that's what I told them when they got there. I said to stop taking customers coming through the door around 9:45. And let people go in there, let them order.
So they can
let
stay
them
till
eat.
10:30 and half an hour.
And the deal that we compromised on was that the staff could always stay till around 11 o'clock if they had to clean up and do anything else for the restaurant.
Okay, so for the record, they can stay an additional half an hour.
For the patrons, yes. If they walk in at 9:45, sure.
Because they misunderstood you and they have, customers that they're upset with them because they can't serve them or they have to rush them to.
Just remember, they're a restaurant, they're not a bar. They are a restaurant.
I understand, but can they consume alcohol if they order at 9:40?
If they are consuming food, they can have consumption of alcohol also. They go hand in hand, no matter what time it is.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am. I will contact them and let them know.
Okay, new business, anybody? Committee liaison reports, anyone? City council comments, positive city council comments, anything you'd like to share with any of your constituents? Begin with Alderman
I
Kubal.
just want to thank Police and Public Works for their work here this past week. Thanks all.
Thanks, Joe.
Alderman Albert.
Yeah, I agree. Thank you guys and gals for everything that you've done.
Alderman Sapiti.
I want to reach out and thank the police department and Public Works for all they did during the storm. Blaine, I want to thank you for, I contacted you with some incidents with residents and having damaged mailboxes, and you addressed those promptly. And I want to also remind the residents, if there was any damage to mailbox as a result of plowing, to please contact Public Works, and they'll address that issue with you. Or if you want to contact me directly, please feel free. My phone number is 779-227-1605. Thank you, that's all.
Alderperson Oberlin.
Nothing else.
Alderwoman Gazal.
Blaine, thank you for not only taking care of the streets, for posting all this information on social media. That helped a lot because we kept sharing it. So as the police department, the reminders, that helps a lot. And also for everyone, all schools are canceled tomorrow, so good luck with your kids at home. Be safe. Not sports though, we'll be there.
Alderman Verche.
Nothing this time.
Alderman Dyke.
Just want to remind everybody, hopefully everyone took some time to think about what day today is, observing Martin Luther King Day, all he did for everybody, and hopefully everyone had some time to think about that, and think of all his great work that he did. Thank you.
Okay, public comment. Anyone like to address City Council? Stu? Name for the record, address is optional.
Stuart Swifer, President, Redwood Club Homeowners Association. Alderman Kubel, thank you for bringing that up about the trash, and I'm sure you personally are getting the trash blowing around out of our community into your community, and it's hitting your house personally. Alderman Albert, thank you for communicating with it. I do want to say that I got the word immediately, and I did put a blast out to all of our homeowners. Unfortunately, out of 100 homes, about 75 of them still have all of their trash out there that have been blowing around all day. I know it's not the city's fault, and it's more on the contractor. I think that, I know that I made 2 blasts to our homeowners. I know that the city put an overall blast out. If there was some other way, because like I said, the trash has been blowing around since Saturday. Somebody's gonna have to pick it up and clean it up. You know, unfortunately, it's the people on the east side, because that's where the wind blows and it just ends up there. I know it's not your fault. I'd like to thank you for bringing it up, and Alderman Albert for our conversations.
Yeah, we had it on Facebook and,
Yeah, I know.
the website as soon as possible.
And like I said, as soon as I saw the notice, I blasted it out through our chain too. Homeowners just don't listen. But it is an inconvenience.
Yep, I agree. Anybody else? Okay, Mike, there is a need for an executive session for
I
2C1.
believe so, under 2C1, appointment, employment, compensation, discipline, and performance, or dismissal of specific employees.
Motion would be
So
in order.
moved as presented.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion by Alderperson Overland, seconded by Alderman Dyke. For an executive session, questions or comments? Roll call, please.
Mark Sepiti,
Yes.
Nate Albert,
Yes.
Joe Kubal, Scott Dyke,
Yes.
John Burchett.
Yes.
Claudia Gazal.
Yes.
And Tina Oberlin.
Yes.
Motion carries, thank you.
Okay, we will be going into executive session at 7:32 PM.
Hey, Ron?